What's up, everybody? My name is Zach Wilson, and this is the Major Keyz podcast. This is me. I'm just going to be talking to a bunch of keyboard players that I admire, keyboard players that are my friends. You know, we're just going to talk about life and music, everything in between. My guest today, my first guest, the inaugural episode,
Woo-hoo.
the first one, my friend Xavier Davis. Yes, sir. How's it going, bro?
Good, man.
Man. So, you're the first guest, bro.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how this goes. If this tanks, you know, hey, we had a good run.
Exactly.
we had a strong first
look,
episode.
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, man. I want to start from the top. So how did you actually get started playing keys? And just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, when a musician mommy and a musician daddy, I mean, like literally, I was born into it. I didn't really have a choice but to be a musician, with my parents both being professional, nationally acclaimed, world-class musicians. I just kind of got lucky in that sense. My father being Phil Davis, Atlanta jazz fusion legend, as they call it. I like putting air quotes on it because I'm
right.
Boosted up. That's my pops, but like for real, he's one of the goats in the city.
I saw him play. I saw him play like a few years ago at a jam session. It was like Lil Jon Robinson. I was like, bro, he's like dope. And like it wasn't until I forget, it was maybe after I met you, I was like, oh, it makes sense.
It
makes sense. But yeah, so Phil Davis is a keyboard player. So what does your mom do? Because I don't know about.
So my mother she was a vocalist and gigged a lot in the city. She's originally from Tennessee and Alabama, kind of where she grew up in that area. Moved to Atlanta post college, and was gigging heavy there and toured with. Now I'm forgetting the artist that she toured with, but I mean, again, world class musician, vocalist there as well. She mostly does graphic design and other sort of corporate spaces now after, having 3 kids and having to slow down.
Yeah, man.
But she still got it. So that's where I get all that from. At least genetically.
Right.
How I actually got into playing the instruments is from taking lessons from my father, from his father, who was a music teacher himself for pretty much his entire career. Band teacher in the Southwest Atlanta area, APS, all through that. And it was funny because when I got involved in band programs growing up in elementary school, I guess I was like, we were kind of the last wave of kids who were, in band and orchestra in like 4th and 5th grade. Actually starting really early. So, but yeah, like most of my teachers growing up were students of my grandfather. So it was like it's a very weird cyclical thing. But yeah, so played instruments, trumpet, French horn, keyboard, picked up like bass guitar in middle school, played a little bit of drums. By that time I had met my homies in Anonymous. So
okay. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. So you musical family, because I didn't have that. It was like no one in my family is really like musically like inclined, really, or at least like genetically, like from the top coming down. Like it didn't work like that. So like your dad and your mom both did music. So you would just like, was it like you'd go to like their gigs and sort of thing, and like you just like saw them just do it all the time, or was it like, we do music, you're gonna do music?
It was. They definitely involved me in a lot of other things growing up. But music is kind of the thing that stuck the most, as far as like the activities that they got me involved in. When you're a kid, you just kind of throw, you're thrown into a bunch of different things. I did taekwondo for a summer and t-ball and soccer and all those sorts of things. But like the thing that really stuck was band.
Gotcha.
As far as like, my personal interest as a kid. But even my dad growing up, we always had a studio in the house.
Oh,
So
dope.
he would, have artists come over, record. He would have garage band session, like literal garage band rehearsals. And I would see a couple performances, but like I was also just aware that like, oh yeah, dad's like gone for tour for 3 months. Like, that's just
Like that was just the life.
that was just
like,
the
okay,
life.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, so you, so you were kind of around it. When did you realize, okay, I want to do this for real? And did you? Well, no. Let me go back. So did your dad teach you, or your granddad taught you, or like how did you actually like learn?
It was a combination of both. Like they, I definitely received lessons from both of them on various instruments at various levels.
Okay.
Like we started out in method books and learning keyboard. There was always a piano in the house, so I would take lessons from there, and I would try to learn other songs that I was just interested in.
Okay.
When I started getting involved in band programs, and I actually picked up trumpet, that was when my grandfather gave me a lot of one-on-one lessons on trumpet specifically.
Oh, okay.
So those guys were like my primary mentors growing up until getting involved in the school band programs. It's like, okay, they just took over from there.
Got you. And you learned like sheet music and
Yeah.
So you learned like the classical.
Yeah.
So you went the classical route.
Mm-hmm.
Got
100%.
you. Yeah. Man, that's what's up. I never knew this about you.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you describe yourself as a musician? Like, okay, so like Xavier Davis, like this is the type of musician like that I am.
I'm an idea guy. I'm 100% an idea guy. I don't consider myself a chops guy. I don't consider myself like, even though I was classically trained, I don't think I'm like so technically sound that I'm going to like, be able to blow anybody else out the water. But I think what I bring to the table, most is ideas and creativity and being able to basically build connections with people really well. I consider myself very personable. And from what I've seen throughout my professional career, it's like the relationships I've been able to make with people have been the things that have kind of driven my career more than my actual playing ability.
Got you. That is, man, I remember being in school and like that's what our professor, well, not Tyrone Jackson is my like main like piano professor, but also at Kennesaw State is Sam Skelton, and we had like a music pedagogy class. He was like, yo, you have to be a good person because you could be the best player, but like if you're a jerk, if you don't come on time, if you're not like, if you don't know the stuff,
you won't get called.
You're like no one cares. Like we'd rather get this guy who's a good hang and like he's decent, and like we'd rather get him or her, and like we don't need you that bad.
Exactly.
Like, but thankfully, like being in the Atlanta kind of ish music scene, I haven't come across a lot of people that are like super ego, like I'm the best, like listen to me sort of thing. But man, it's just, so I'm grateful that I haven't really had those experiences yet. I'm sure it's gonna come, but like being personable, being that person, like yo, Xavier's on the gig. All right, we're gonna have a good time.
Exactly.
That's like,
Yeah, that drives us so much further, man. Because I mean, maybe you haven't had those experiences, but I surely have with at least a couple cats. And
you can tell the story, but don't tell any names.
I'll keep
if you have a story, just don't say anyone's name.
I'm gonna keep it in general
because
terms.
we're first episode. I don't want to
I'm trying to get canceled.
I don't want to lose the sponsor. I don't want to lose the sponsors yet.
Right. I'll keep it very general. I like to speak in generalities, but. Like what I really notice a lot, where I really see a lot of the ego, and maybe this is people have comparable experiences in other really big bustling entertainment cities like LA or New York, where it's all of these people who are migrating there to be famous, or they're migrating there to forward their career, and because they don't have the connections yet, they build those connections off of what can you do for me, and how I can better myself doing that. I'd say there's a good number of people who migrate to Atlanta to become famous, and they're assholes. But then there's also some people here who were born here, who just by virtue of their personality, they just kind of feel like they're the shit already. I've encountered a good, well, a good amount of both, for being this age and for being the skill level. But like for being this age and the skill level, it's so much less warranted because it's like, what the fuck have you earned at this point?
So here's the thing. Have you come across those people? And it's like, you're not really that great.
Yes. Every time.
Hey, wow.
Every time. It's never someone where
it's never someone like, oh man, you were like Herbie Hancock level. I'm like, okay, I get it. You know, you're gonna be that guy. But it's never anyone that good.
Nope. Usually the best musicians that I've come across tend to have like an accompanying good personality with it. And it's the people who are, rap capping for Instagram who are like compensating for their lack of whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Dog. Amen.
Yeah.
That's all you can say.
Because
yeah.
Like you said, like 5 years, like, let's see how your career actually pans out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like maybe you're just hot now. Like maybe you had a gig with this one big artist. Mm-hmm. Maybe you had a tour.
Yeah.
Or maybe you did this one specific thing. But like, tours aren't forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like what happens like when you have to be home? What happens when you're in the pandemic and no one's getting gigs?
Yeah. Like what are you going to be able to do? Are you going to be able to like start your own thing and actually have some pull like locally?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to have enough people who
is anyone going to want to hire you?
You know what I'm saying? Is anybody going to want to hire you? Is anybody going to want to come to your show if you put it on yourself? Is anybody going to want to listen to your podcast if you decide to start that? You know what I'm saying?
Man, don't start a podcast. I mean, like, is it really worth it? Who listens to these anyways?
Man, it's like, but you would be surprised. Like I got really surprised when, I went on social media and I started putting little rap covers out. Like.
You've already cussed. I have to do a lot of bleeping, but it's okay.
That's all I get. But like,
it's okay.
I was surprised because I got what for the time was an overwhelming amount of support, not only from like people who I knew, but just like people who I didn't know I could even reach yet through the internet. So it's like, and I don't think that necessarily a whole lot of aspects of my personality have been shown on social media yet, but it's like if this is already the relationship that I'm building with a quote unquote fan base, like I think I'm in a decent spot versus like going out and putting everything there and almost projecting yourself as this character and then having to follow up with that in real life.
That's interesting because once I started like working on the album, I was like, I'm done making the videos that I like used to make. Like I would be playing along like with someone else. I'm like, I just don't feel it. I like playing with other people, and I was just working on that, and like I'm working in real life, so I don't need to necessarily like prove anything to anyone. But like, man, so you think I would say sometimes you fall in love or you become a fan of someone's personality before their skill set. Like someone who's a really good example of this, and they're not a keyboard player, but Corey Wong, guitar player. I don't know if you know him, but he's just so like boisterous and just like so out there, but he's like so like he's just like got this like likable thing about him, and I'm like, bro, and like all the content that he puts out, and like, man, you're like really cool, and I got a chance to talk to him, super dope guy. So it's like, I can see that it is interesting being in the world of like social media. Like, oh, do you just want to like deciding like on what you want to share? Like, okay, no, I'm like, do you want to go the route like, hey, I'm just a musician, watch me play, that's it, you don't know how I am in real life, or this is how I am in real life, also I play keys. Or do you just want to, or do you just want to share your whole life, have no personal business, and then it's a thing, and like I don't think it's definitely not one size fits all, but it's something like to be kind of observed, going between different people, and like just how people use social media and how you're portrayed on social media versus in real life too.
Exactly.
So
like that's why I like to keep a healthy separation from it, because if you get too involved in it, then you start to feel like you're obligated to create this character, or you're obligated to be yourself, which like inherently makes you not be yourself. Yeah,
because you're too much of a, like, you start to become a caricature.
Right.
In a way.
Right. Man. A caricature of yourself. Like, you get to display
Yeah, like do the Xavier Davis thing.
Exactly. Like okay.
Like, like, bro, I'm eating lunch.
Yeah,
Like,
literally, the guys, like, they're so funny because they,
the guys,
in some
this
instances,
is Anonymous, the band that he's talking about, guys. We'll get to them.
The guys, they, you know, in some instances, they want me to be kind of a caricature of myself. They, you know, they call me King Kofi and blah, 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 or like play like your dad, or you know, they call me the storyteller. Like, you know, I'm always, because I always, you know, can just put together, I don't know, funny things to say about my regular life. Yeah. You know, or just observations or whatever. But, you know, there does come an expectation with that. And it's, and, you know, it's tough to kind of navigate that. But it makes it a lot easier when you just focus on being yourself and actually being a genuine, cool person in real life. Right. And that'll just reflect outward.
And then, like, you know, everything will just follow that.
Place. Yeah.
Man. Good stuff. I'm just checking, making sure that we're still recording, and we are good. We are good. All right. That's dope, man. Who are you listening to nowadays? It doesn't necessarily need to be Keyz. Like, you don't need to like go, oh man, I've been digging the '60s guy, man, real low key, man. Not a lot of people know of him, but man, the way that he did, like,
I bounce around so many different artists kind of based on what I need for the day. Like my relationship with music is very fluid, but it's very consistent in the way that it's like I'm always kind of like setting the playlist for my life, or the soundtrack for my life. Who have I been listening to recently? Oh my goodness. I'm thinking about all the stuff that I'm learning for these corporate and wedding bands.
That's the thing, like man, because it takes me a long time. Like, my favorite people will be putting out an album, and it takes me a long time to listen to new music because, like, when I do gigs, like, I learn so much music for those gigs, and I'm like, once I get in the car, like, after rehearsal, I'm like, I don't want to, because then, like, I feel like I'm not giving it enough, like, attention, and then, like, I can't really judge it, and it's just, like, kind of overwhelming. Right. But yeah, man, who's on your Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal?
Let's see. You know, I honestly listen to YouTube music more than anything. I just like having the bundle between the YouTube Premium and the YouTube Music.
Hey man, Premium is the way to go. Yeah, bro. 100%. Man, during the pandemic, I was watching. All I was doing was watching YouTube, and I was like, all right, these ads. No ads. These ads are too much. I was like, stop. Because like I'd be watching a long. You ever been watch before, like, you know, we enter the premium life, watching like a long, like watching a concert. Solo is going in. Going in. Advil. Yeah.
Like, yo, I hate it. Yo, I would get pissed trying to stream. Well, same thing. Trying to stream an album, and then like something cuts in the middle. Let's see. What have I been listening to? I've been going back and forth. Getting into some Afro beats. I've gotten into a little bit of WizKid and who's the other cat? These two very popular artists. You know, in the Afrobeat space. I actually have a friend who listens to like music from all around the world. He has like the best music taste that I've ever seen in a human being ever. And he posts a lot of it on his Instagram stories, so like I kind of use him as a reference in like different places to follow. He put me on to some Brazilian music, like some older 2000s Brazilian like not bossa nova, but like ballads and things like that. Like super which is super musical and instrumental, which is one thing that I appreciate more than anything. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Over the past couple months, like, SZA's album was dope. I remember having a moment with that. Yeah. JD Beck and Domi's album.
Did you end up going to that show? Did you go to that show? You missed it?
I mean, but bro, I can only imagine because I've seen recordings. They're insane.
Bro, yeah.
So I'm trying to think who is actually dropped. I do try to stay on top of like.
Even if it's not new, it doesn't necessarily have to be new. But like just what's, but you know,
it's like a
that's a solid mix.
Yeah, it's a mixture of fusion, popular music, and then some older stuff. My issue with new music is that if I love it, I'll
Mhm.
listen to it so much that
Oh,
I
yeah.
get bored of it in like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then I don't really go back. Like I overplayed Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Like
Oh.
way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much. So now I can hardly even listen
Man,
to
that's
it.
interesting. But sometimes I'll like have like an earworm, and I'm like, I've got to stop so I can keep it fresh.
Mhm.
You know, I've never gotten to that point, but I'm like, man, let me keep it fresh.
Right.
Because when that album came out, that was on. Well, the thing is, albums be on rotation, but it's like you want to start from the top, and
Mhm.
sometimes you don't have like if you're in the car, you don't have time to listen to the whole thing.
Mhm.
So like that's why like when you like see like the stars on like Apple or like the ratings, like it's always like the first few songs that are like a lot because like you always start the album over.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think. But nah, but that was a super good album, and I think his name is Duval Timothy, is the person who played Keyz on a lot of that stuff.
Really?
I
Okay.
like looked him up. He's like somebody, I want to say he's from the UK, but he played on the first song.
It was throughout the whole album. Right, yeah. Yeah.
One of them is a sample.
Okay.
One of them that has like heavy piano is a sample, but like a lot of it is him.
Yeah. I mean, and it sounds like it's studio recorded. I mean, that was honestly one of my favorite sounds, sound motifs throughout the entire that entire tape was just live acoustic, well recorded piano. Like I'm fresh out of getting my degree in music tech and and audio recording. So I'm like, oh yeah, I know that they found like the perfect room and the perfect ribbon mics in perfect.
Yeah, they had the right. They just
yeah, it was crisp.
So now that we're here, so tell me about your music school experience.
Oh jeez.
I was like, I know that you have a particular point of view on your specific experience from music school.
Yeah. I mean, my college experience was really specific, I think, in that when I went into it, I didn't have any expectations other than, meeting cool people and just kind of like having and just having this cool experience and getting away from my hometown.
Yeah.
That sort of thing, and at that point in my life, I was really more so focused on self-exploration and on, coming out of my shell and getting a lot more friends and that sort of thing. I was like growing my hair out and, becoming super pro-black and all that kind of stuff. Like that was a really transformative kind of period in my life. And for that reason, I was really gung-ho on going to an HBCU.
Yeah.
So went to Hampton University up in Virginia for psychology of all things.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, oh, I like how the brain works. Like whatever. Which is like the exact wrong reason to pick a major for school. Whatever.
Yeah.
I went there. I was super, super, super involved in the marching band. And
did he play French horn?
Yeah, French horn.
Yeah.
They it's like mellophone is the marching version of it. Whatever. You're never gonna see that instrument anywhere, and I literally haven't played it since. But yeah, so I was there. I was super involved, and marching band was pretty much the only redeeming quality of my experience there at Hampton, because everything else kind of sucked. And then the marching band thing got stale, and I was like, okay, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, so my first year I was a psych major, switched major my second year to music technology, but their music program was terrible and super undeveloped, underdeveloped. Even though, surprisingly, what I found out about that, some artists who I do like, and now I'm remembering some artists who I, kind of keep in rotation, JID and Earth Gang.
Oh yeah,
those cats. They actually met up at Hampton. They all went to Hampton.
Oh, gotcha.
None of them finished, but
Hey, well, it was the
right. It was the kind of
It
was, man. They talk about it, but like they literally all got kicked out like the day that they were supposed to walk.
Oh wow, that's
like,
crazy.
Or the day before. It was insane over some BS.
Oh wow.
But either way, like I ended up connecting with the guy who was the head of the music tech program there, who had spent a good amount of time with those cats while they were there. And he knew that I had intentions of switching over, so he was making sure, like, oh yeah, make sure the accreditation is there and like, kind of set these things up. He was probably one of the only redeemable parts of that program,
Mm-hmm.
because everything else was just crazy. There was literally rat crap on the consoles and pianos and the
Oh, wow.
like it was terrible. Anyways, left there, came to Georgia State.
Mm-hmm.
By that time it's fall 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have the worst semester of my life, like grade wise, mental health wise, like,
It's like not
terrible,
not it.
terrible. Because I'm thinking that like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come back here, like I'm back home, it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in an actual nice dorm,
Right.
like that actually has some amenities, and I'm in the city, and I'm a music major here, and I'm gonna kind of pursue this thing. And getting back to your question of when I kind of knew that I was gonna pursue music, it wasn't really until college.
Oh,
that I,
okay.
like established like, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna do professionally. This is what I'm gonna like be
Got
going
you.
on.
So you just like majored in music tech. You like, oh, okay, so let me just learn about mixing and like the technical side of things, and like, but so what were your intentions gonna be?
My intentions going into school, like, being an 18, 19-year-old, again, I was going in as a psych major. I was just like, oh, in my head, music was always going to be the backup.
Okay,
Music
gotcha.
was going to be the thing that I always
okay.
had in the back pocket. The guys were still, the guys and I in Anonymous were still gigging. I mean, we were even flying out and traveling, like, while we were in 4 different parts of the country to to do that together. So I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't going to go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. I don't even have to put any effort into it. But once I got to my sophomore year, I had a great conversation with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a cool thought experiment that really put a lot of things into perspective about like what I thought, and what I was subconsciously prioritizing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was subconsciously prioritizing was music. So it was like, let's make a conscious effort.
Like,
to
let's
actually
let's just do music 100% instead of like keeping it as a backup plan.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
Exactly. So by the time I get to Georgia State, I'm just like hating the experience. I'm just hating everything. I was so pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Started coming out of that and going into the top of 2020, and I'm feeling really, really good.
Oh yeah, this is the year.
Oh my
this
God.
is the year.
Yeah.
This is it. This is it.
I promise you, everybody I've talked to was like, "Oh yeah, 2020
bro,
was about to be the year, bro."
Because I graduated December 2019.
Jeez.
2019, I had done so many gigs.
Yeah.
It was the most gigs I've ever done.
Yeah.
I'm looking at how much money I made. Oh, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started playing with an artist. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go on tour. And then like, oh yeah, we're there. We're there. Mm-hmm. Nah. But it did birth the album, The Introduction, which is available on all streaming platforms.
Amen.
I appreciate your support on that too.
Yeah. Stream that joint.
But yeah, that's amen. But hey, we're here now.
We are here now.
Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, literal.
Is it?
Looks at your finger. Oh my God. So, yeah, man. I mean, that was, and just throughout that time, that was, as everyone probably can relate to, that was a huge time for self-exploration and like really, really honing in on like what's important.
Yeah.
Like, what am I really going to focus on? What am I really here to do? And if and this was literally the thought experiment of, if everything else gets stripped away, what would you do with your life?
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
Good question.
That's literally what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else got stripped away. There was no work. There was no school. There was no, I ended up finishing my degree over some, BS terms, just like, remote and sort of in, sort of out. I had to buy, they made me buy bell covers for for our instruments.
Okay.
Because we still had like all these requirements to go and play in large ensembles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, we have a virus that's going around that's spread through our air. And we're all just going to still be okay with blowing air through instruments in a closed room. Like, whether or not we have a mask on, but you have to take the mask down to do that.
Oh, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it's just it's just workarounds for nothing. Like, if you don't care if we get sick, then just say that. And it's fine. And then we'll all come here just regular. Like, we'll just wear a mask, and then we just won't wear a mask while we're playing, because that just doesn't make sense. whatever.
You graduated though.
I did graduate after many hoops.
Yeah,
flaming hoops.
Flaming hoops with spikes.
Yeah, I mean, golly, I can't believe I made it. I wanted to quit so many times. I wanted to drop out.
But look at you now.
So bad.
Look at you now.
Look at me now. Still broke.
but you're on the Major Keyz podcast.
Right. Hey, look.
I mean, a lot of people can't say that.
Right.
Mainly because a lot of people don't know what this is.
Exactly. They haven't even gotten here yet.
They haven't even gotten there yet. But just think of like, you know, like 4 years down the road. Like he was like, bro, I've been begging to get on. I've been like, it's gonna, this is gonna be like, you know, like how everyone wants to get on Tiny Desk, everyone wants to get on Howard. That's what this is gonna be.
You're gonna be like, oh yeah, you're like the 500th like guest on this, but
but
I was the first.
You were the first guest, not intentionally,
but it's all good.
Not intentionally,
but,
but it worked out.
Right, you're right.
Do you remember your first concert you went to?
The first concert I went to. You know, my mom told me a story about this. This is funny. Still in utero. It was a Lauryn Hill concert.
Wow, she showed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, man, I forget. She was probably late as heck to that one too. But my mom had been and was always a huge Lauryn Hill
How old were
fan. No, I'm lying. I'm so lying. Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson. That's a good first concert. And I'm sure Lil Jon was. Did you know like Lil Jon like through your dad yet at that time?
I mean, he was not while I was in the womb, but like he would be over the house often. So I knew. Yeah.
Got you. So how old were you when you saw Janet? This is maybe like Phillips Arena, something like that?
No, I was literally in the womb. Like, my mom was saying that I was like kicking on beat.
Oh, does that count?
Song.
I guess it counts.
I get, but
so what was the one that you like? You know that you were there
after being introduced
that
to the world.
Know that you were there.
It was probably one of my dad's shows, if I'm honest.
Kind of like beside people that like you, but I guess that counts though. But I mean,
but like another mainstream artist concert that I've been to. Golly, man. I can't even think of it.
Well, I guess we'll go with Lauryn Hill.
You know what? Yeah.
We'll go with Lauryn Hill. Yeah. But and was that like? Because I've always liked behind the scenes stuff. I'm looking at what. I'm looking at the main person, but I've always like, hey, what are the people in the back doing? How'd that light cue get there?
Exactly.
Who is doing that? So like how old are you? Maybe in like how are you like looking at that?
Man, I as a kid, I didn't know what the heck was going on. I really didn't.
Did you know her music before then?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I didn't really make a connection with Lauryn Hill, Janet, or anyone that my parents were really into until much later on. I know that the music was always played around the house. Yeah. So like I had an auditory association with it, but like
it's like, I kind of know some of these songs.
Yeah, it's like I might not have known the artist or I might not have known the song title, but like if it played, then I could start singing it.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. Well, what's the first concert that was like, yo, this is this is it?
A big concert.
Not necessarily big, but just like
but
an
like
artist.
something that was like big for me. The guys actually remember this. Justice was on this trip with me, but it was a school trip that we had taken to New Orleans.
Oh.
We were in like 7th grade.
Okay.
We flew out there, and it was like this old school jazz brass band. And I remember specifically the drum. I literally don't remember any of the musicians' names or the band, which is I'd love to give them a shout out. But I remember specifically the drummer had a story because he was like severely maimed as a child. Like he survived a house fire or something like that. Yeah. So it's like his hands were all jacked up. He might have had like 2 fingers on each hand or something like that. And he had to like strap his he would have to strap his drumsticks like to like his wrists or something. But he was killing.
Wow.
Him and the entire band. I remember there being clarinet, trombone, drum, upright bass. There might have been a piano player, but I just remember being there. Everybody else was bored out of their minds because we're like 13-year-olds. Nobody's trying to listen to jazz. But I was
but y'all are like that's super interesting because like the first few concerts that I've been to, I'm sure I was the youngest person there, and I'm like, this is like, and then some people just enjoy it, like yeah. But I'm like, yo, do you you see this, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely get that, but no, that's super interesting. All right, we've skated around it. Let's talk about Anonymous, the band.
Let's do it.
So your involvement with the band, how the band kind of came to be, like your role in the band, like just tell me about them. One of my favorite, not just saying this because you're here. One of my favorite groups from Atlanta is like y'all in the Four Corners.
Word.
Like as far as bands, it's like y'all too.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Yeah,
the band existed many years before I even knew the guys. It started out as a family band with the Michaels and their cousins, so the Emerys, playing keys and bass guitar, and they went through a couple different iterations of the band. We had my boy Carrington on bass for a while. Dark Harder was the keyboard player and vocalist for a little bit. They had a guy named Maxwell on keys for a minute. He was the keyboard player before me. So by the time I had joined, they had gone through a number of members for a multitude of reasons, and we kind of have stuck with this unit since we were. It's hard to point this out. This is high school, so maybe like 2014. Yeah. So and from there, we've kind of kept the unit and made our records with that unit and perform with that unit.
And like describe, like for the people who don't know, you should know. I'm gonna link it in the description. But for the people that don't know, kind of, if you can describe Anonymous, the band.
It's a 4-piece instrumental jazz fusion band. We are Atlanta born and raised, all of us, and we really have just been trying to keep alive that, like, a sound that we identify as classic to us, as like classic Atlanta jazz funk fusion. So a fusion of some straight ahead, some funk, some some R&B, these sorts of things, at least in the covers that we play, and then also playing a lot of like technically heavy original pieces.
Yeah. So I've got to tell this story. Y'all did this gig in Norcross. It was supposed to be you, like Anonymous, and it was supposed to be another artist. The other artist had to drop out because of like a flight cancellation or like the storm or whatever. And so I'm like, well, I think I kind of knew this because I maybe like read online. It was like a free show. And like I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and like I'm gonna hang out and like I'm see him or whatever. But I was like, okay, so what's gonna happen for the next set? Are they gonna get somebody else, or does like Anonymous have to do like another hour show, or like have to stretch this out? Anonymous did a whole other set, had that crowd going the whole time. It was raining outside too for a little bit, and I'm like, anything that, because I'm like, bro, like you want me to do a whole nother hour?
Right,
like,
right,
bro,
right.
We rehearsed to do a specific 50 minutes.
Exactly.
I'm like not that I couldn't pull anything out, but it's just like, yo, like y'all really like on the spur of the moment, like y'all really like, all right, cool. Well, we got to do another, and like y'all. Yeah. It looked effortless to me. Yeah. If it was a struggle for y'all, don't tell them.
Look, we're talking about, this is the Jazz in the Alley joint.
Yeah, the Jazz in the Alley thing. Like when the other artist had to cancel, and I'm like, oh wow, so like y'all just did a whole 2 hour, like a double bill, essentially.
Yeah.
And but yeah, that was like when I really saw y'all like in y'all's like element. I think that might be like the first time, because like I've seen y'all, I've like heard of y'all, I've like met y'all like all kind of individually, but that was the first time like that I really like, I was like, yo, this is Anonymous. And I'm like, bro, that's how it's done.
Trust.
And I really I enjoy that show. I mean, like I enjoy it every time that y'all play, but that show specifically was like, that's it.
I'm glad it looked effortless, because trust me, most times we were flying by the seat of our pants. We were just like, what do we have to? Okay, let's just run this. Okay, hit it, and then go.
Yeah, that was but no, that was cool. You have a song on on the latest album, Foreign Matter. It's called Without. you wrote that song.
Yes.
So tell me about the process in writing that and writing it for the band and making it not like, okay, this is an Xavier Davis song with y'all backing me up.
Yeah. This was this was many years ago. When I originally wrote this, I remember just kind of being in my room in high school. This might have been like 2014, 2015. And just coming up with some random set of chords, basically like that main vamp section by myself. And this was one of my first times writing a song at all. So I was like, really excited.
Yeah.
I didn't have it written down. I didn't demo it in Logic or anything. I just remembered what the chord shapes looked and felt like. Let's see. I think originally I was trying to I was going to write it for my girlfriend at the time or something, but that didn't end up happening. And I think I just kept the idea, and shot the idea, to the guys, and we would kind of vamp on that, and just kind of flesh it out at jam sessions or during rehearsals and those sorts of things before it even became a song. And then eventually they were like, oh yeah, you just, let's just finish the song.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always think it's interesting, cause I mean, to write instrumental music is already kind of what do you name it? What is it about? But it's there's nothing telling you up front what the song is about. You kind of, if someone tells you what the song is about and you listen to it, you kind of have to piece the two together. If you listen to an R&B song that has or any other song that has lyrics, you know what the song is about.
Right.
So that's interesting. But I'm I've always found it interesting. Oh yeah, I wrote the song for my girlfriend. I'm like, okay, so is it supposed to emit love? What? How are you supposed to? How are you supposed to? How are you supposed to dedicate it to somebody? Because it doesn't really have words.
Exactly.
I've always thought so. That's why. Well, I might. I was I've never written a song for anybody, but I might do it. But also
sometimes they don't age well. So
no. I'm in.
Yeah.
There's no going back.
Yeah.
But I'm just yeah, I wrote these. It's a set of chords, but but you hear the flute thing, especially if they're not
if they're not
really
musicians.
Not musicians.
You're just
But no. But you see the motif is at the beginning, and you come in that resembles it's a loop it's our love. It's
right.
How do you go about that,
man? So again, that was the initial intention. Scrap that.
Yeah, scrap that.
And it eventually
scrap that. Scrap her. Scrap
real talk. But I was so young then. It was crazy looking back on this now.
Yeah.
But I eventually, and as I kind of my personal writing motif kind of focuses on connecting on a personal emotional level.
Right.
So Without was just kind of my way of describing musically, sonically, without lyrics, how to traverse life without these sorts of constraints that I saw. I was kind of opening myself up to the world at that point, and trying to open myself up to just the things outside of how I necessarily grew up or what my mind states were as a kid going into adolescenthood and those sorts of things. I mean, even with the other tune that I wrote, Restraint.
Yeah,
that was another one where it's just kind of going back and forth between this concept of releasing your restraint and showing your fullest self and embracing your fullest self, but also from a performance perspective, not giving the audience everything at once because it's not even necessary, and showing restraint. And I'm especially thinking about some of my favorite or I remember at the time thinking about my favorite artists and musicians who would just get down the thing that they had. If they're taking a solo, it was a nice solo, and then they leave
that's it. Yeah. That's interesting. Now I can't wait to go listen back to it because now I have context. That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. Y'all are coming out with another album this year, right? Maybe. Are you?
I'm not gonna say that we are, and I'm not gonna say that we aren't. I'm just gonna say that You'll have to stay tuned.
Man, that's what everyone's man, coming soon. That could mean anything. That could mean anything. Yeah, bro. We're working, man. We're working. Coming soon. Stay tuned. That could mean
right.
That could mean so many things
right.
or nothing at all. But you know, it's all good.
I will honestly say we don't have a project in the works at the moment, just because us being young gigging cats, we're all in so many different places.
Y'all be working,
once.
man.
Yeah,
I dig it.
So
yeah,
but it's all good. I like the body of work that we've produced so far.
Absolutely,
and the rapport that we've been able to make, and the impression that we've been able to make in our hometown thus far. I'm honestly super proud of where we've been able to go.
Y'all keep going, man. Because I'm telling, like, the dream is Zach Wilson tour with Anonymous the band,
Mm-hmm.
like as the supporting act. Like that would be, or a co-headlining. Switch it up.
Either way.
Switch it up at each show.
Yeah.
You know, but that's like a dream of mine. But you know, hey, we're gonna soon enough.
Yeah.
Soon enough. All right. Trying to think. Oh, we can skip that for now. How long have we been on? What is the it doesn't matter. You know, you know, you want to keep people's attention. But I can go. I can sit here and talk to you all day.
Exactly.
So, but top 3 keyboard players, like nationally known keyboard players. Your top 3.
My top 3. That guy.
Say it for the people, because like that one may not be in the frame.
Robert Glasper, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it was so funny. We were in Jacksonville, and actually met him backstage, while he and his band were getting ready to play, and he asked me that same question, top 5 alive.
Really?
He asked every member of the band for their instrument.
That's interesting.
Which was super interesting, because I didn't even have 5 keyboard players, but definitely Robert.
I've
Glasper.
met Robert Glasper too.
Oh. All right. Did he ask you for your top 5?
But I was like, no, he actually did. I was like, man, you know.
Right.
But no.
But y'all shared the stage together. So
no, we didn't. We were on the same. It's the same thing that y'all did.
Yeah.
Y'all were on the same show, same festival, same show.
Right.
But no, I did get to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
I met him plenty of times before that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in my top as well. But yeah, so Robert Glasper.
Obviously, Herbie Hancock.
Yeah.
Obviously, let's see. One of my personal favorites. I don't know if this guy is as well known, but Bill Lawrence.
Bill Lawrence from Snarky Puppy.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Flint.
Yeah.
That's the one. I've seen him. I've met him multiple times too, or like seen him live. But like bro, his own stuff. He's so, cause you know, like he's like classically trained, but like he gives you just like enough of like each, and like it's super approachable, and it's just cool. I like his solo stuff. Yeah,
and he fleshes out his ideas so much. He has so many albums already. He has so many projects, so he
another one dropping. I don't know when this will come out, but
okay.
Another one with Michael League too. It's like a solo or like a duo thing.
Okay,
like a duo thing coming out, and I'm interested to hear that. I couldn't do a solo. I mean, like it's not a solo album what he's putting out. It's him and Michael League playing like various like stringed instruments, but like I feel very exposed when I'm playing by myself. And I don't necessarily like to do it. I'm like, give me somebody. Yeah. Like, at least a drummer. Give me some. Like, doing stuff on my own is, like, very, like, I don't care to do it. Yeah. But, like, that's a skill to be able to do. Because I know he does do it and he can do it. But that's, like, a lot to me.
And the rest of the guys on that list as well, they, like, one thing that's so stand out about them is their own personal ideas and how they can so comfortably maneuver in and out of these exposed spaces when they're performing live. Like I got to hear at least 2 out of the 3 this past year.
You didn't see Herbie at the? Did you see Herbie at the jazz
festival?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you
did.
So
I saw. We caught him right before. It was either before or after Jacksonville, because we both kind of like switched spots or something like that. But yeah, Herbie and Rob got to hear them live, and the way that they you can see how like Rob kind of picks up from that idea, and he was explaining this too, like how he stays so fresh, and how he's still at that age, and what Rob tries to emulate is taking chances, even once you've gotten to this place where you can like really just phone in a performance and everybody's gonna go crazy.
Exactly, right. Yeah, because Rob and Herbie are in my top 3 as well. Yeah. Like, well, I always have top 5. It's Herbie, Rob, Chick, Corey, and Sean Martin's up there too. Yep. And then you can add Jacob Collier as well. Of course. But that's that's a solid list. Bill Lawrence. I didn't know who you were gonna pick. I figured Robert Glasper was in there. I didn't know. So, who are the top 3 keyboard players that you know? Like on a local, maybe local level, or just like people that.
Zach Wilson. Oh man. I mean that I know. Obviously, my dad's on the top of the list, and that I'm homies with. I would say you and Kennedy.
Oh
man, because y'all murder the Keyz, bro. Like in a way that I'm envious of. If I'm totally honest, I don't even think I give it up to the real keyboard players, and I just stay back and I try to stay on my production stuff.
Man, you don't even be like that. don't man, y'all catch an Anonymous the band show when y'all can. But I do appreciate it, man. Yeah. Thank you, bro. But yeah, Kennedy's gonna be here too.
Word.
She'll be here. Well, it doesn't matter when y'all are watching, but like she'll be on an episode of the Major Keyz podcast. Absolutely. Having a private party at your house, right? You can get a super group of any musicians that you want to. Keys, bass, drums, guitar. You can add in horns.
Okay.
Lead vocals. Who's in your super group?
So keys, bass, guitar, drums. I'll choose one horn player and then a vocalist. Super group. I'm throwing in Jacob Collier because he's just he can fit any of those slots literally.
What would he be on for the show though?
Oh my god. That's interesting. You know, this might be a little controversial. I'm putting him on keys because I think he is the most. I think he would be the most creative in that space. This is like a jam session, just like
you could call it a jam session. You could say like it's a private. I don't know, but what would be like a super group that you just, or maybe just a group that you want to see?
Okay.
But Jacob Collier is on keys.
I'll go out on a limb and say Jacob Collier's on keys. I'll go out.
I don't think that's super controversial. I think that's one of, even like me being a keyboard player, like that's one of the best instruments that he plays.
Yeah, 100%. I'd say Derek Hodge on bass.
Whew. Okay.
I'd say, this is gonna be tough. I'm thinking about a drummer. I'm thinking about the drummers that I like. Justin Tyson on drums.
Okay.
On guitar, what's his name? Is his name Isaiah Sharkey?
Isaiah Sharkey?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is just the I lied. Mark Lettieri.
Mark Lettieri.
I need
Mark
Lettieri.
Ooh.
I need Mark Lettieri.
So Mark Lettieri, Derek Hodge, Jacob Collier, Justin Tyson. So far. Okay. So
I need a horn
you got
player.
Any horns or like extra? So horns and then like lead singer.
Oh my god. Horns. Who do I put in there? I'm trying not to go the obvious route and just pick somebody off of Snarky. Christian Scott, trumpet.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Need him.
Yeah.
And then lead vocalist. I'm going to pick someone who does more than just kind of regular vocals because I'm a super big rap fan. But I like people who can kind of do both. So somebody who can do like nice melodic vocals, but also rap their butt off. Anderson .Paak vocals.
Ooh,
that's such a hodgepodge.
Unexpected. The Anderson .Paak one was unexpected.
Yeah, but that's such a. Now that I'm visualizing that, that's such a crazy, band.
And like I'm thinking, if y'all are doing Anderson .Paak stuff too.
Oh, Anderson it's funky.
Paak's music.
It's
I'm
funky.
Like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
that could be fun.
It's funky. It's
anyone else
funky
you want to
and
add to the group?
colorful.
Any like aux percussion? Any
Oh my god.
Any saxophone player? Like anyone else you want to add to the
Jeez
group?
Sax player. Let's throw in Kebby Williams just for
Oh,
spice.
Yeah, just for spice.
Man, oh, this is so crazy. This is a crazy question to ask a musician because like we know so many musicians and we're just like
Exactly.
You could throw anybody in there. I don't know if that actually makes sense or what they would play.
Bro,
but
I feel like it would be fun though.
That would be crazy.
And then like you could do so much with them, and then you bring in Anderson .Paak, and he could just like I'm trying to think of like what song would be cool with them. Like Heart Don't Stand a Chance could be cool with them.
They could honestly, they could do the joint that he did with JD and Domi. You know what I'm saying?
You know what song I like?
What's that?
Off of that album, also Pilot.
Yes.
I like Take a Chance too, but like that, yeah, because I think it's just like the dun, 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 like just the walk down. It's like I enjoy that song.
It's a very tasteful rap loop. You know, like, and that's what I want to emulate in my music so much. Honestly,
yeah, bro.
Like just doing, because you know all their music is or a lot of popular music is just really just looped out.
Yeah.
But like having it done tastefully where it's still like enough variation.
Yeah.
Where you don't get bored with the loop where it's like 1 to 5 to 1 to 5 to 1.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Got you. Okay, last question. Last question. What do you want the people to know? What do you want to shed light on? What do you want to share with the people?
That I'm a solo artist as well. I rap, I produce, I mix, master. I pretty much do it all. You know, all this experience that we've been talking about, I've been able to kind of collectively put all that together and work on my own stuff. I got my debut single coming out.
Ooh. I actually meant, so I was gonna give you a chance to plug yourself, but I also meant like in like the grand scheme of
the grand scheme of life,
in like the grand scheme of things.
Live, love, life.
There
whatever. Yeah.
Or that. Oh man, so when's it out?
You know,
and this is not you playing really. This is you more so.
Yeah,
rapping.
This is a lot more.
This is more
vocal.
This is more so Kofi than Xavier Davis.
100%.
Got you.
I don't like to separate the two that much, but yeah,
okay.
100%. This is Kofi. So I don't have a release date, but it's coming soon. I'm literally like just waiting on some stuff to clear, and it's ready to go.
Got you, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first episode of the Major Keyz podcast. This has been Xavier Davis.
Woo! We did it.
Woo! We did it. We did it.
Come back next week.
Yeah. We'll catch y'all next time. Socials. I'll like put it in the, but you know, you got to tell people the socials.
You can catch me at omg.kofi on everything pretty much. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. OMG period Kofi, Kofi.
Check out Anonymous, the band's album Foreign Matter, which he is playing on every single track. You can check out my album, Zach Wilson, The Introduction. Keep pressing on. All right, that's it.
Let's do
Appreciate it.
Awesome. We did it.
That's what's up, man. That's right.